What's up, Jet Nation? Welcome back to the JETS Jet Show. I'm Sean, your host, back with another great update for you, covering day three of NFL free agency for the Jets. Not as splashy a day as previous days, but definitely a few solid moves that we should talk about. So, first off, pretty simple. We got our two other backup quarterbacks back, Mike White and Joe Flacco. I really like both moves. Pretty simple reason why. Flacco, solid veteran, still has some skill level left, still has something in the tank to give. He's a great mentor for Zach Wilson. He's a New Jersey kid, great locker room guy, provides a lot of stability. You know, you need a guy in this league nowadays that if a quarterback gets hurt for a couple weeks or 4 or 5, 6 weeks even, you have a chance to compete. Because otherwise, you know, you go 1-5 in those 6 games, you ain't come close to making a playoff run. This is a move that, if God forbid something happens to Zach Wilson for a few weeks, or even 6-7 weeks, you have a reliable backup that can help you stay competitive. And then obviously Mike White, how could you let this guy go after what he did last year when we watched one of the best, or in my opinion, one of the best Jets performances in games, most entertaining performances in games that we've seen in some time, probably close to 8 years, probably going back all the way to week 16, back when we had played the Patriots, Fitzpatrick to Decker for the game-winning touchdown, which I was at that game. And that's one of my favorite games that I was ever at, which, you know, I already plan on doing a show kind of covering some of my favorite games that I've been to over the years. But two solid moves. We locked down that quarterback room. These guys know the system now after playing in it for a year. And, yeah, definitely some solid moves. Then we have the Tyler Conklin move, picking up Tyler Conklin as a free agent. Some may not realize this, but he actually had more receiving yards last year than CJ. I can never say his name. Osmua had last year. CJ was just under 500. Tyler was over 500. He was 580 something, if I'm not mistaken. And he started the season as a backup, Irv Smith's backup. So those are some pretty impressive numbers. And you know, this guy's an all-around tight end. I mean, I was watching some film on him last night, and man, he is a solid blocker. I mean, he laid the wood to a couple defensive ends. Very, very impressive. Run game and pass game. He actually stood up, I don't know the defensive end off the top of my head, but he stood up a couple defensive ends one-on-one in pass pro, which is impressive for a tight end. So, you know, we had nothing last year. We definitely have solid talent at the tight end position. May not have like a George Kittle, but you know, you don't always need a superstar at every position on the roster to be a good team. You need a lot of really good players. You know, one thing that I think after all these years of watching the Patriots play, one thing I think we've learned from watching them play under Bill Belichick for so many years is you have guys that fit the system and do their job, know how to do their job. They're great at doing their job. When you put all those puzzle pieces together, you get a great team. And I think that's something Joe Douglas learned when he was in Baltimore, and he's, you know, implementing here with the Jets. You know, and I think those are some really great moves. Going forward, I do see us needing still to do a few more things, you know, in the upcoming days in free agency. I know we were looking at some pass rushers. We'll see what happens there. I either see us going with a, you know, a veteran 1-year type guy like a Justin Houston, or a young guy with some upside. You know, here early on day 4, I know we picked up Jacob Martin, which I think fits the scheme really well. Speed guy, great depth for that defensive end position. Not sure if they're done. They might make another move for a veteran. So we'll see what happens there. But we definitely also need depth on that defensive line and offensive line. I've said it before. LDT still out there. Maybe bring him back as a really solid interior offensive line backup. Brandon Shell, maybe bringing him back as a depth piece at tackle. Definitely need depth at tackle. One of the most important offensive positions out there. I mean, we saw what happened last year with Becton. Thank gosh we had Morgan Moses, or else the offensive line would have been a complete disaster. That being said, interior defensive line is a need as well. I don't see us with all these signings keeping Sheldon Rankins on. So I think he's going to end up getting cut eventually, and that'll free up some money, but we're going to definitely need to replace him. We brought Shepard back. Surprising move, but it wasn't a big deal or anything, a big money deal or anything like that. So provide some depth there, but we definitely need another big-time run-stuffing interior defensive lineman to complement what we have now. That being said, another guy I'm keeping my eye on is Bobby Wagner. I think he'd be the perfect fit next to C.J. Mosley in this defense. He has experience with this style defense. He has experience with Saleh. They know each other very well. Similar schemes his whole career. He's obviously a little up there in age, but he is a Hall of Fame caliber player. I definitely think he's a Hall of Fame player. So adding him, his leadership as well, would be huge for the young defense. And it's definitely still a position of need that we need to address here. And last but not least, wide receiver. I know the main answer to the number one wide receiver question is going to come in the draft at this point. However, I do think they will add another veteran wide receiver at some level. A guy I like, and I think would work really well in the system's Will Fuller. I know he's injured a lot, but he really opens up that field, gives you that deep threat. 1 year, $8 million, you make that happen. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer to give you another piece, because you don't know what you're getting from Denzel Mims. You don't know, what you're going to get from Jeff Smith. He's been on this roster for a few years now. He hasn't really flashed anything spectacular. And outside those guys, you have your three main guys: Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, and Braxton Berrios. But none of those guys really open up that field vertically. So a guy like a Will Fuller, I think, would complement the other receivers really well, and complement whatever number one wide receiver we get in the draft. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to in the next few days of free agency. With that, my next show, I'm going to be reviewing kind of the offense as a whole and all the moves we've made and what I think we're going to be doing in the draft, how I think the guys fit into the scheme and everything like that. So, Mr. Grayson the Bear, my co-host, do you have anything to add today? No, you think he thinks I summed it up well. He's the only person that agrees with me, My wife doesn't always agree with me. This one always agrees with me, especially about the Jets. So, anyway, with that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.